The ceasefire between Israel and Iran has officially come into effect, while Iranian authorities denied reports of missile launches into occupied territories after the entry into force of the ceasefire. In Palestine, at least 19 people were killed and 146 others wounded after Israeli forces opened fire on aid seekers near a U.S. aid distribution center in central Gaza. And this Tuesday, June 24th, marks the 100th day of the illegal imprisonment of more than 250 Venezuelan citizens expelled by the United States to the Terrorism Detention Center in El Salvador. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran entered into force. Minutes earlier, several Iranian missiles hit different areas of occupied Palestine. The cessation of hostilities began at 7:30 a.m. Tehran time and 7 a.m. Tel Aviv time. Previously, Iran launched missiles against several Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Beersheba. In the latter, the impact of a large caliber missile left at least 11 dead and 22 wounded. Although rescue efforts continue, the death toll could increase. The city of Beersheba hosts a technology park where high-tech projects are developed, and the intelligence and command headquarters of the Zionist army is located. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian sent a message to the nation following the ceasefire announcement. The message started saying, "My dear compatriots, noble and courageous people of Iran, today, after your brave resistance, our great and history-making nation, we are witnessing a ceasefire and the end of the 12th-day war that was imposed on the Iranian people through the reckless aggression and warmongering of the Zionist regime. During this time, the world witnessed the might of a great Iran, backed by the unwavering support of its people. While the terrorist enemy initiated this imposed war, its conclusion was determined by the will and strength of the great Iranian nation." In this context, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian confirmed that Iran will not violate the agreed truce and emphasized that they are open to dialogue and negotiations. The Persian leader emphasized that they maintain their position on dialogue and negotiations in defense of the rights of the Iranian people. Furthermore, after holding a conversation with the President of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, the Iranian leader said that the United States' involvement in the conflict and bombing of nuclear facilities represents a clear violation of the country's sovereignty and international resolutions. In this context, people in Tehran and other cities across the Persian nation took to the streets to celebrate what they described as a strong victory over the Zionist entity. Citizens continue to demonstrate their support for the Iranian authorities, and the Supreme National Security Council said that the victory is rooted in the existing national unity and military readiness, adding that Israel was unable to achieve its strategic objectives. U.S. President Donald Trump warned Israel not to violate the ceasefire with Iran. The U.S. President urged Israel to abstain from dropping bombs and warned that if it did so, it would be a serious violation. On his social media Truth Social, Trump demanded that Israel withdraw its aircrafts back to its territory. In addition, the head of state declared that both Israel and Iran have violated the ceasefire and indicated that he is not happy with Tehran and Tel Aviv, before adding that he is really unhappy with Israel.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Russia confirms its commitment to finding solutions to end the current tensions between Israel and Iran. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that despite the ceasefire in effect, it is premature to draw any definitive conclusions. This is due to possible violations of the ceasefire caused by military maneuvers in the conflict zones, while several countries around the world, as well as international political actors, expressed their support for an end to hostilities between Tel Aviv and Tehran.
We are still ready to be a moderator if the parties directly involved are interested in this and ask us to participate. President Putin especially emphasized that we did not impose ourselves as mediators in any way.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Israel's aggressions on several countries in the region are unacceptable and represent a major threat to peace in the region.
The attacks against Iran have ignited a major threat to the peace of our region. Israel's reckless actions, starting with Palestine and extending to Lebanon, then Syria, and finally Iran, are completely unacceptable. Global actors must take effective measures to put an end to this madness. Otherwise, not only our region, but the entire world will pay the price. We will continue to call on everyone to exercise common sense and state that the possibilities of diplomacy are enough to find solutions to all kinds of issues.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wei Yaqun said that Beijing is concerned about the development of conflicts in the Middle East. The spokesman urged Israel and Iran to seek political solutions through dialogue and negotiation, as these are the appropriate measures for resolving tensions, since war is no guarantee of peace. In addition, Wei Yaqun confirms that China is prepared to work with the international community to maintain peace and stability in the Middle East. Venezuela welcomes the announced ceasefire between Iran and Israel and hopes it is a first step to an end of hostilities. In a statement, Venezuela said current situation came as a result of the unjustified aggression of Israel and the United States against the Islamic Republic of Iran. Venezuela reaffirms that this cessation of hostilities must be the starting point for a lasting structural solution. As President Nicolás Maduro proposed on June 23rd, it is urgent to activate a multilateral mechanism to convene a West Asia peace and anti-war summit. Venezuela maintains its unwavering commitment to peace, people's sovereignty, and multilateralism. And we were speaking to Dr. Elaheb, professor of the University of Tehran. And also in this context, now we have a short break coming up. And remember, first you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The United Nations Security Council met on Tuesday to discuss the current tensions in the Middle East shortly after the ceasefire between Iran and Israel began. The meeting discussed the future of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action launched in 2015 for the development of nuclear weapons. That program is ineffectively imposed since the U.S. withdrawal in 2018 and Iran's rejection of parts of the deal. United Nations Political Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo described the U.S.-mediated ceasefire overnight between Israel and Iran as a significant achievement and an opportunity to avoid catastrophic escalation. Iranian ambassador to the United Nations Amir Saeed Iravani accused also the United States government of supporting the Israeli attacks on Iranian nuclear and civilian facilities and questioned the Zionist regime's justification for the aggression.
With the full U.S. support, Israel has targeted Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, civilians and civilian infrastructure. Israel falsely justified these attacks on Iran's peaceful nuclear program as an imminent threat. This claim is baseless and has no legal base. In reality, Israel, the region's only undeclared nuclear-armed entity and non-party to NPT, refused IAEA inspections and monitoring, while Iran complies with the NPT and has subjected its nuclear program to the most rigorous IAEA monitoring.
On the other hand, a Chinese representative to the United Nations, Fu Kong, accused the United States of initiating the Israeli-Iranian crisis by withdrawing from the nuclear talks with the Persian nation in 2018 by applying economic and financial sanctions against it and by attacking its nuclear facilities during the recent conflict.
China has noted that some members of this council have done nothing but accuse Iran of violating its non-proliferation obligations in an attempt to justify the military actions of Israel and the United States. Here, China wishes to remind these countries of the following basic facts. It is none other than the United States that started the Iranian nuclear crisis. The United States unilaterally withdrew from the JCPOA in 2018. Thereafter, it reinstated and escalated unilateral sanctions against Iran and adopted measures of maximum pressure which prevented Iran from enjoying the economic dividends conferred by the agreement and forced the country to reduce fulfilling its obligations under the agreement. It is again the United States, throwing to the wind its own credibility, launched military strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, undermining the negotiation process initiated by itself, leading the Iranian nuclear issue to yet another impasse and resulting in an abrupt escalation of the regional situation.
The permanent representative of Russia to the United Nations, Vasily Benevencia, detailed the objectives of the draft resolution, while stressing the support of the Russian Federation for a peaceful solution.
The Iranian nuclear program can only be resolved through diplomacy, through negotiated solutions, which are based on international law and the principle of equal and indivisible security. The Russian Federation consistently has supported a peaceful solution to the concerns surrounding the Iranian nuclear program, which is acceptable to all parties as well as the international community as a whole. Here, the greatest responsibility lies on the UN Security Council, which is obligated to take the requisite measures. This is the goal of the draft resolution proposed by Russia together with our Chinese and Pakistani partners. Today, we are proposing to our Council colleagues an updated text that takes into account the latest developments and aims to bring about a lasting ceasefire as well as oversight of that ceasefire by the Security Council through Secretary General reporting.
For the 627th day, the Israeli regime's occupying forces continue their genocidal war in the Gaza Strip with aerial and artillery bombardments. With political and military support from the United States and amid international silence and an unprecedented failure of the international community, Zionist troops are advancing their plan of ethnic extinction by killing, starving and displacing people. After 20 months of siege and clear violations of the Palestinian people's human rights, Israel has left more than 187,000 people dead or wounded, More than 11,000 missing and hundreds of thousands more facing famine and forced displacement. The most recent attacks by Tel Aviv on the Gazan population left a 13-year-old boy among their victims. He died after being hit by an Israeli drone while collecting firewood for his family in the Ajun area north of Gaza City. Gaza children suffer the most from the war against their people. According to official United Nations figures, the Gaza Strip has the highest rate of pediatric amputations in the world. These alarming statistics reveal that 33% of all brain injuries, 26% of spinal cord injuries, and 70% of burns requiring surgery in the enclave are suffered by infants. The organization revealed clear psychological distress among children awaiting hearing services. Israel's actions have caused a humanitarian disaster that makes it impossible to provide adequate and timely help to these children. This worsens their situation every day and exposes them to other health risks. In Palestine, at least 19 people were killed and 146 others wounded after Israeli forces opened fire on aid seekers near a U.S. aid distribution center in central Gaza. Local resources confirmed that at least 25 aid seekers were killed in an Israeli strikes near an aid distribution site close to the Netzarim corridor. Witnesses reported that the death toll is expected to rise as dozens others were injured and several bodies have yet to be retrieved from the area. Israel has regularly attacked starving aid seekers, particularly those waiting for food near aid distribution sites, killing over 450 and injuring more than 3,466. World leaders arrived in The Hague, Netherlands on Tuesday for a two-day NATO summit to be held amidst internal divisions among the bloc's 32 allies. During the summit of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, allies are expected to endorse a new defense spending pledge to allocate 5% of their gross domestic product on security to fulfill the alliance's plans for defending against outside attack. Leaders of member countries, which includes several European nations in addition to the United Kingdom, the US and Canada, will gather for the summit, which will mark US President Trump's first attendance since taking office in January for his second term. The summit has been rocked by internal divisions in the midst of the Iran-Israel conflict, with the leaders of Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand cancelling their participation. And we have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro demanded respect for the self-determination of nations while reiterating his call for world peace. During the events to commemorate the 204th anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo, the Venezuelan president demanded respect for international law and the sacred right to peace, stressed that in the face of the escalation of conflicts promoted by the aggressor powers, it is necessary to hold a world summit of presidents to stop the war in the world. In this sense, he reaffirmed the resistance of the Venezuelan people in the face of aggressions and sanctions of imperialism, highlighting the struggle waged by the liberating army 204 years old ago against the Spanish colonialism. And in this context, let's listen to statements of President Nicolás Maduro.
Today, when Zionism attacks Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, and the Islamic Republic of Iran when Zionism attacks the free peoples of the world. Venezuela proposes from Carabobo's victorious, a summit of presidents, so that the madness of Adolf Hitler and fascism, which destroyed a large part of humanity, is not repeated.
In other information, the government of Bolivia declared a national health emergency on Tuesday due to a measles epidemic after more than 25 years without reported cases of the disease. President Luis Arce highlighted that after an urgent meeting with the National Strategic Council for Health Emergencies, they took the measure due to the 60 cases reported. The health authorities informed that the Department of Santa Cruz is where most of the cases are reported and that 2 other patients are still under observation. For its part, the Department of Health Service of Potosí made a proposal to the Department of Education to start online classes to curb the proliferation of measles, since countries such as Peru, Brazil, and Argentina have registered deaths linked to this disease. This Tuesday, June 24th, marks the 100th day of the illegal imprisonment of more than 250 Venezuelan citizens expelled by the United States to the terrorism detention center in El Salvador. Venezuelan migrants are being held in secret locations, cut off from their families, without access to their lawyers appointed by the Venezuelan government, and without an official list of the charges against them being made public. Venezuela has warned that it will not accept these forced disappearances disguised as legal formalities, where people are detained without trial, without defense, and without even knowing the reasons for their imprisonment. Such actions by the Salvadoran government constitute institutional kidnapping that flagrantly violates international treaties and human rights. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.